I lost 5 brothers, 3, I think 4 to gun violence. But I never thought that I would lose one of my children or one of my children would die before me.
You can't even go simply get your hair cut and worry about someone, shooting you.
She was smart. She was independent. She was loving. She was all about family. I haven't heard the word "I love you" so many times from her.
We didn't always get along, but if Rayon came and with one person, we had to get along. So it was like she brought the joy.
She walked in with an appointment. She walked out with a weapon still in her hand. Inside a busy Pittsburgh barbershop on a Saturday afternoon, 3 shots broke through the noise. People dropped. People ran. And when it was over, a 26-year-old woman was on the floor fighting for her life. Nobody saw it coming. Not the staff, not the other customers, not the owner working in the back room. But here is what investigators would later confirm. The woman who pulled that trigger did not walk in unarmed by accident. That weapon had been on her lap the entire time, hidden underneath a barber's cape, waiting. So the question is, why? Welcome to the Crime Edition. In today's case, we are going to reveal the latest updates in the case of Rayon Williams, a 26-year-old woman whose life ended inside a Pittsburgh barbershop on an ordinary Saturday afternoon. Stay with us, subscribe to this channel, hit the like button, and tell us in the comments where you are watching from. We cover cases other channels get wrong, and this one is no exception. To fully understand what happened inside that shop on October 4th, 2025, you first need to know who Rayon Williams was. Rayon grew up in McKeesport, Pennsylvania, with one thing driving her from the time she was 9 years old: basketball. She was not just passionate about it, she was serious about it. She trained, she competed, and she graduated from Mid-Atlantic High School as both an academic standout and a dedicated athlete. In 2017, she earned her spot at the University of Pittsburgh playing collegiate basketball and fulfilling a goal she had carried since childhood. She later earned her Associate of Arts degree in physical education with long-term ambitions of playing professionally overseas or in the WNBA and eventually coaching at the high school or college level. But basketball was only one side of her. Rayon worked as a home care worker, showing up daily for people who needed support. She later became a manager at Hibbett Sports in Edgewood Town Center in Pittsburgh, where colleagues described her as someone who led with both professionalism and genuine care. In 2023, she launched her own clothing line called One of One Clothing. She was also teaching herself programming and technology on the side. Her family described her as the person who kept everyone connected. Her cousins said that if there was tension in a room, Rayon could walk in and leave it lighter. Her grandmother, Luana Coward, who had spent over 20 years working alongside families navigating gun violence loss and had already lost 3 of her own sons, described Rayon as someone she had fought for her entire life. Her favorite quote was simple: "You miss 100% of the shots you never take." She lived by it. On the morning of October 4th, 2025, Rayon and her cousins cooked a big breakfast together. Before she left for her hair appointment, she told them to save her a plate. She said she loved them, the way she always did. Then she walked out the door. That was the last time they saw her. Now, to fully understand this case, you also need to know who Mayara Carter was. Mayara Carter was 25 years old, from Baldwin, a quiet suburb located south of Pittsburgh. By all publicly available information, she had no prior criminal record. She legally owned the firearm she carried that day. It was registered in her name. She had a mother and a girlfriend, and she had a history with Rayon Williams that stretched back 2 years. According to court documents, the conflict between Carter and Williams began in 2023 and was rooted in one thing: both women had been romantically involved with the same person. That single point of tension never resolved. It simmered for over 2 years, building into something neither woman was willing to walk away from. Carter told investigators that at some point during this ongoing dispute, Rayon had taken a weapon from her. That claim has never been supported by any police report. No record of that incident was ever filed. It exists only in Carter's own account to detectives, a claim that would later factor into how her defense team framed the events of October 4th. By the time that Saturday arrived, these two women had been in a state of conflict for more than 2 years. And according to Carter, when she booked that hair appointment at Bones Barbershop, she did not feel safe going without protection. So she brought her registered firearm, she placed it on her left thigh, and she sat down in the barber's chair. October 4th, 2025, Pittsburgh's South Side, just before 1 in the afternoon. Bones Barbershop sits at 1221 East Carson Street, a well-known spot in the neighborhood. That Saturday, the shop was open and operating like any other day. Owner Ramon Pierce was in the back, working through a haircut with one of his barbers. Staff were doing their jobs, customers were in chairs. Myra Carter was already seated, cape draped over her, weapon concealed underneath. No one in that shop, not the staff, not the other customers, not the owner, had any idea what was sitting in that chair with her. Then, Rayon Williams walked in. She was wearing a mustard-colored outfit, phone in hand, arriving for a scheduled appointment. According to surveillance footage obtained by investigators, approximately 40 seconds passed between the moment Rayon walked through that door and the moment everything changed. In those 40 seconds, the two women exchanged words. A 19-year-old employee on staff noticed the tension building between them and stepped in, attempting to calm things down. It did not work. According to Carter's own account to police, Rayon made it clear she wanted Carter to come outside. Carter said she felt the situation closing in on her. Then, she told investigators, Rayon stepped forward and put her hand into her pocket. Carter said she believed Rayon was reaching for something at her waistband. Carter fired 3 times from underneath the cape while still seated in the chair. Rayon ran toward the back of the shop and collapsed. Ramon Pierce came out from the back and found Carter standing in the middle of the shop, weapon in hand, barber's cape still draped around her neck. He asked her to leave. She walked out, got into her car, and drove away from East Carson Street. Emergency responders arrived within minutes. CPR was performed on Rayon at the scene before she was transported to UPMC Mercy Hospital. She had been struck in the neck. She did not survive. Rayon Williams, 26 years old, was pronounced dead at UPMC Mercy Hospital that afternoon. Responding officers recovered 3 shell casings from inside the shop. No weapon was found on Rayon Williams or anywhere near where she had been standing. Curry Brown, who runs Smoke Goodies directly across the street, heard the shots from inside his business. He told reporters he and everyone around him froze. He described the neighborhood's reaction as one of shock, not just because of what happened, but because of where it happened and when. It was the middle of the afternoon on a busy street. Bones Barbershop closed its doors for several days. Ramon Pierce later told reporters, "I'm just heartbroken somebody lost their life in my business. I seen it happen. I don't know how to get over that." When the shop eventually reopened, the team posted a statement on Facebook making clear that what occurred did not reflect their business, their staff, or the environment they had worked to build for their clients. Myra Carter did not run. She drove home to Baldwin and she made 2 phone calls, first to her mother, then to her girlfriend. Then she dialed 911 and turned herself in. When Pittsburgh Public Safety's Violent Crime Unit arrived at her home, she handed over her weapon. It was recovered from her vehicle, still registered in her name. She agreed to speak with investigators voluntarily without being compelled. And what she said in that room became the most consequential part of this entire case. The Allegheny County Medical Examiner's Office officially identified the victim as Rayon Williams, 26 of McKeesport. That confirmation closed the first phase of the investigation and opened the next one. What exactly happened inside that shop, and what was Myra Carter's state of mind when she pulled that trigger? Carter walked investigators through everything. She described the 2-year conflict. She explained the shared romantic history. She brought up her claim that Rayon had taken a weapon from her at some point during the dispute. Investigators found no police report to support that claim, no documentation, no prior complaint, just her word. Then she described the moments inside the shop, Rayon stepping forward, the hand going into the pocket, the assumption that Rayon was reaching for something. She said she felt cornered. She said she feared what Rayon was about to do. Then investigators asked her 3 questions that would define this case. Did you see a weapon on Rayon Williams? Carter said no. Were you certain she was going to harm you? Carter said she was not sure whether Rayon intended to swing at her or shoot her. Did you have to pull that trigger? Carter said no. Those 3 answers, voluntarily, in her own words to law enforcement, became the foundation of the prosecution's case. Under Pennsylvania law, the use of deadly force is only justified when a person reasonably believes they are facing death or serious injury, and when that force is necessary. Carter's own statement removed the necessity argument before the prosecution even had to make it. If you are just finding this channel, subscribe right now. We go deeper on cases like this than anyone else, and you do not want to miss what comes next in this case. Carter was charged with first-degree criminal homicide. The element of premeditation was central to that charge. Bail was denied. She was transported to Allegheny County Jail, where she remained. Her defense attorney, Ken Haber, came in with a firm and immediate position. Self-defense, no question about it. Haber argued that Rayon had spent those 40 seconds inside the shop taunting Carter, trying to provoke her into a fight and threatening her. According to Haber, Rayon told Carter directly, "If you do not come outside now, I will be waiting for you." Haber argued that when Rayon stepped forward and moved her hand towards her pocket, Carter had every reason under Pennsylvania law to believe her life was in danger. Haber told the court, if somebody is in fear of being killed or seriously injured in that moment, under Pennsylvania law, you have the right to use deadly force. He added that Carter did not want to use deadly force, but that she did so because she believed she had no other option. The Allegheny County District Attorney's Office pushed back directly. They presented the surveillance footage, which was played in court during the preliminary hearing. What the footage showed was Carter already seated before Rayon arrived, cape in place, weapon already concealed. Prosecutors argued that the premeditation was not in the 40 seconds of exchange. It was in the decision Carter made before she ever sat down in that chair. She arrived armed, she positioned herself, she waited, and when Rayon walked through that door, a decision had already been made. The prosecution's argument was straightforward. You cannot claim you were forced to act in a moment of fear when you prepared for that moment before the other person even arrived. On November 7, 2025, the judge at the preliminary hearing ruled that there was sufficient evidence for the case to proceed to trial. Carter's formal arraignment was scheduled for December 2025. As of the latest available reporting, no confirmed trial date has been publicly announced. Myra Carter remains in Allegheny County Jail without bail, awaiting what will be one of the most closely watched trials in Allegheny County. Rayon's family was present in the courtroom during the preliminary hearing. They declined to speak with reporters afterward. Luana Coward, Rayon's grandmother, had spent more than 20 years sitting with families who had lost loved ones to violence. She had helped them find words for what they were feeling. She had walked them through some of the most painful moments of their lives. She had also already buried 3 of her own sons, Harry Coward, James Jones, and Don Jones, all lost to gun violence. Now she sat beside her own daughter, trying to help her survive a loss that no preparation could soften. Rayon's mother stayed focused. She remained in direct contact with detectives throughout the investigation, making sure every piece of evidence and every relevant detail reached the people handling this case. She was not stepping back. Rayon's cousins held on to the memory of that Saturday morning, the breakfast they all cooked together, the plate she asked them to save, the last words she said before she walked out the door. Curry Brown from Smoke Goodies across the street said it plainly to reporters. The gun violence is not necessary. We are all just trying to make money. What makes this case significant beyond the loss of Rayon Williams is what it raises about intent, preparation, and the boundaries of self-defense law. Myra Carter did not reach for a weapon in a moment of surprise. She carried it in, concealed it deliberately, and, according to her own account to police, already felt threatened before Rayon ever walked through that door. The prosecution's position is that those facts add up to premeditation. The defense's position is that those same facts add up to a woman who feared for her safety and exercised a right she had under Pennsylvania law. The jury that sits with this case will have two things in front of them: surveillance footage that shows exactly what happened in those 40 seconds, and a police statement in which Carter, speaking voluntarily, told investigators she did not have to pull that trigger. Both cannot be true at the same time. As of today, Myra Carter is still in Allegheny County Jail. No trial date has been confirmed. The case is moving through the Allegheny County court system, with formal proceedings having cleared the preliminary hearing stage in November 2025 and arraignment scheduled for December 2025. The next phase of this case will be decided in a courtroom, but the facts as they stand are already on the record. Rayon Williams was 26 years old. She had a clothing line she was building. She had a management career she was growing. She had cousins who saved her a plate that Saturday morning and waited for her to come home. She had a quote she lived by: "You miss 100% of the shots you never take." She never made it back from that appointment. Drop your verdict in the comments right now. Self-defense or premeditation? We want to know what you think, and we read every single comment. If you are not subscribed yet, do it now. Cases like this one are exactly why this channel exists, because the full story matters, and most people never get to hear it. We will see you in the next case.